Time now for Comfort Time Live. Comfort Time Live is a call-in radio show educating you on issues surrounding your home. Don't become a statistic. Listen in and find out how you can protect yourself. Comfort Time Live. Comfort Time Live. And now, here's your host, your personal comfort consultant, tackling all of your home comfort issues. Here he is, Tom Platania.
Well, hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to another edition of Comfort Time Live here on WPSL and WSTU. What a great show. I tell you, I really am enjoying simulcasting the shows like this. I really do enjoy it. Besides not having to do two completely different shows.
That's right. Like you do in the mornings on Thursday.
Yes. Oh, I loved that. That show I've had some fun with that show. Because I tell you, I learned a lot from creating Comfort Time Live with all the years of doing Comfort Time Live. And when I created True Radio, Treasure Coast Real Estate Unleashed, I was able to really take a lot of the things that I made mistakes on and learned from, and all the years of the internet and the social media, and put it all together in another great show. Mm-hmm. And I love it. And it's every Thursday morning on WSTU from 10 to 11. We have four of probably the best realtors in South Florida. We have Carol Morgan, Andrew Sesta, Farouk Ali, and Mr. Scott McAllister on there. And I tell you that, and just getting into real estate myself, we've been in the construction industry for so many years. You know, I sit back and I think, a very smart move, because what better way to learn about the real estate industry than to do a radio show with four people that have about 100 years of real estate experience.
That's a way to get some information together.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. And it's amazing. And then having all the partners with us, like one of our guests that we're going to have on the show this evening, we're going to have Mary Beth Zipster from Atlantic Insurance Advisors going to be on the line with us here a little bit later on, talking to us about homeowners insurance and some of the changes that have come up. And still, there's a lot of issues with people not understanding their insurance policies and understanding why things the way they are. And, she's going to help clarify that. So if you want to call in tonight at all and ask any questions of Mary Beth, at 772-340-1590. When she comes on the phone a little bit later on, you're going to definitely give her a call. Give us a call here at the studio and ask her questions. Questions like, why is the insurance company giving me less money for my house than what it's worth? Why do I need flood insurance if I'm not in a flood zone? Why do I need flood insurance if I'm on the fourth floor of a condo? All right, things like that. What changes to the real estate or to the insurance policies are there? So a lot of great questions that are out there, and this is the time to ask them from a professional who's been in the business for many years and actually partners with us at Keller Williams. So, and she's a great individual, very intelligent, and she's going to be on with us here a little bit later on. But remember, ladies and gentlemen, you can always go to ComfortTimeLive.com and you can watch and listen to the show there. If you, maybe if you're not within listening range of the radio signal, obviously in your car you don't want to be watching on Comfort Time Live. Make sure you turn that off. But also, if you miss any part of a show that you've heard about, whether you're on WSTU, whether you're on WPSL, or whether you're watching this show on YouTube or Facebook or Twitter. Because remember, in this society, we got to get into the social media because there's so many people out there. And what better way for them to listen to the show and find out what's going on than to go to Facebook at Comfort Time Live Facebook, Comfort Time Live, hashtag Comfort Time Live. If you're Twitter, follow us. Go on there, follow us. You'll see the different guests that we have coming on. And speaking of guests, we have some great guests coming on next week. At least I think that's next week. Is next week the 27th? No. What's next week, Cliff? I think it's the week after that.
It's a week from this week.
It's a week from this week. I'm thinking, boy, time flies when you're having fun. Not
The
this
20th.
week, but the week after, the 27th, we have world-renowned Bill Patty, who is going to be on the show. And he's going to be talking to us about our voices and communication skills and how the proper communication skills can really help you improve your lifestyle and improve your personal life, improve your life with your family, definitely improve your communication skills with your spouse, because we know nobody has an issue with guys never have issues communicating with their spouses. Never. I mean,
really?
it's just like
Then how come we have to have a Valentine's Day to make up for everything?
no, that's just for the guys.
Oh,
That's just for the guys that are idiots throughout the rest of the year who don't take care of their women, who need that one special day to make up for it. If you take care of your woman properly throughout the whole entire year, you don't need one special day to do it.
Here's what happens. Here's why a man doesn't have a woman like a sports car. You see, see, it's actually the other way around. The man is gifted by the presence of the woman. Period. But because if you better watch it, because you get a lot of trouble with things you say.
Well, I bet you right now women are out there saying, yeah, he knows what he's talking about.
That's
and the
right.
guys, of course, are getting mad at me. But
Well, yeah,
I'm
yeah,
sorry.
yeah,
That's
yeah.
Valentine's Day is for spouses who just
For the weak-minded.
who haven't who haven't taken care of their women the rest of the time. You don't buy them
let's
flowers.
rephrase that. The man has not been thankful and grateful.
There you
enough.
go. There you go. I like that. But you buy them flowers or gifts or something once a year? No. Do something special every week. It doesn't have to be some $50 or $60. You know what?
Although they like that.
You go to Walgreens or CVS, and for $1.50, $2, you pick up a little card that says, "Hey, I'm just thinking of you." And you know what? Little things like that, I bet.
Then you won't have to go to Walgreens to get the angry wife wine. Have you seen that? I saw that and I thought, what? Boy, oh boy, if she brings this home, you know you're in trouble.
Oh, but no, that's the case. And I mean, that's just my opinion, ladies and gentlemen, is, yeah, you did do something nice on Valentine's Day. I'm not saying don't. But what I'm saying is that for the guys who aren't as thoughtful for the rest of the years, they need a day like this to kind of make up for everything.
And before they glow in their sorrow, let me just add to you that you don't have it as bad as I do, because my wife's birthday is the day before Valentine's
Oh,
Day.
so you get dope
So
twice.
I get it today, I get it tomorrow, and then chocolate goes on sale the day after tomorrow for 75% off. Yeah.
Oh, well, hey, let's go ahead, and it looks like we have our lovely and talented Miss Mary Beth Zipser from Atlantic Insurance Advisors online with us. Good evening, Mary Beth.
Hello, good evening. I wish I was on the last few minutes. This sounds like a very interesting topic.
Maybe we should just go with this topic, huh?
How do you insure a broken heart? That's a tough one.
Wow.
It's that's it's just. It's
Well,
just
that's
my
part of
feeling.
comfort, yeah.
It is. That's part of comfort.
Feeling better
If I
afterwards.
can help guys out there, if I could help them just
Hurry
make
up and get to the kiss and make up
their
part.
women just a little bit more comfortable throughout the year, gosh, their lives would be so much better.
I
So
agree.
much better. So much better.
I'm
So
glad you're there to help them.
hey, I'm trying. And I shouldn't be talking. I've been married twice, so obviously I didn't do something right. But
Well, you learn.
you learn
There you go.
exactly. We learn from our mistakes.
Trial and error, but mostly trial.
Trials and tribulations. I love it.
Absolutely,
Very
absolutely.
interesting. I don't know what segued into it, but I caught the tail end of it. Very interesting.
Oh yeah,
Valentine's Day,
the Valentine's Day, and and I said Valentine's Day is for guys who don't properly take care of their women or appreciate them properly throughout the year.
or are grateful enough, yeah.
So they
you
need this
go.
special day to make up for all the inconsistencies.
I like it.
So if you're taking care of your spouse properly, and the little thoughtful things, you walk into CVS or Walgreens for something, for deodorant or something. You know what? You got to go right through the card aisle. It takes 2 seconds to pick up a card that says, "Hey, just thinking of you,"
There you go.
and it costs $2.
Hey, a Post-it note's a lot cheaper.
You know those little they have those little yellow sticky tabs. Yeah.
There you go.
Notepad.
Well, it's great having you with us. And gosh, for some reason, I feel like I've talked to you sometime today already.
I know. It's kind of strange.
Yeah, it's
Little
like
deja vu here.
exactly deja vu. Actually, Mary Beth was with us today on our True Radio, Trishko's Real Estate Unleashed, talking with the realtors who at Keller Williams, the four realtors, the Fantastic Four, I call them, who use her quite frequently on helping their buyers or sellers and dealing with the insurance issues that they come across with that. And I tell you, Mary Beth, it was a great show. We got a lot of compliments from you today. So you have, boy, I tell you have a lot of weight on your shoulders to try to beat that one.
Oh, no.
No stress. No stress.
Hey, gotta go. No, just kidding.
Oh, wonderful. Well, first tell us, a little bit about what got you into insurance, and actually what got you to insurance in this area too.
Well, I've been in this area since 1991. I moved here a
okay,
long
so
time ago.
you're
not a native. Mm-hmm.
Right, but this is your community.
Yes.
Yeah, you
my
live here.
community.
You don't live in West Palm Beach trying to sell policies to areas that you don't know about.
True. Although I do write the entire state, and I do North Carolina too. So I do a lot of insurance. I can do insurance in any part of the state. My focus is the Treasure Coast area.
Nice.
That's where I do a large majority. Like I said, I've been here since 1991, and a lot of people I felt just weren't getting service. You could get a quote. There's an insurance agency on every corner. I see them all the time because obviously I've got that selective perception where I notice it because I'm in the business.
Oh, isn't that funny?
Oh, yeah.
You'll never see anything, but the minute that somebody shows something to you or that you do something, it's everywhere.
You will notice it. So they're on every corner. You can get insurance. You can't drive a mile without getting another insurance quote. What I hear a lot from clients, what I've heard for years, I get more business from people calling saying, well, I've had it. I never get a phone call back from my agent. No one there will give me a straight answer, et cetera, et cetera. So I finally threw my hands up. My neighbor said, hey, you should give my girl a call. I've had so many people call, and it's a shame. It's
But unfortunately, Mary Beth, I think any business, whether it's insurance or contracting or restaurants, for some reason, even though more and more places pop up, customer service becomes worse.
Yes. You have to set yourself apart, and I think it's important. And I've had everything from a first-time home buyers, young, they look like they were 12, but they're probably, that's just because I'm dating myself, and they're buying their first home.
Well, you're only 29, so come on.
Exactly. And they're buying their first home, and they will ask they will sit here and they want to review the policy line by line, and it's kind of cute. And then you have the older people who are being taken for advantage of, and they really don't understand what they have or why they have it. And things that have come across my desk, I've just had to shake my head and say, I cannot believe that this agency let these things roll like this, and every year let it renew, and this poor woman didn't need it, or she's paying double that she didn't have to pay, or I see that a lot. So I try so hard to emphasize service. And see,
that's what's going to continue, because word of mouth is the least expensive way of advertising. But it's the most time consuming, because you have to make sure that you properly take care of your clients so that they will refer you.
Right. And Scott from Keller Williams, I liked when he always says he believes in getting a customer, not just a sale.
Yep.
And I liked when he said that. I thought I never thought of it that way, but it's the same thing that I've been doing. It's similar to my philosophy. And I've had such loyal people following me, and I'm very grateful for that. But I just try to make such a point to really explain. I used to say to people, it's my policy that you know yours, because people don't know it. When they want to know what it is, when there's a claim. That's when they start looking through the files, trying to figure out what they have. What's my deductible?
When it's too late.
Exactly.
Yep. When it's too late. That is absolutely correct. All right. Well, we're going to take a real quick break here. We're talking with Mary Beth Zipser from Atlantic Insurance Advisors, and she's going to be helping answer your questions tonight about your insurance. Now, you need to give her a call, because that's what she's here for. She is the expert, and you want to give her a call at 772-340-1590 right here at the studio. Or if you're a little shy, go to ComfortTimeLive.com and chat your question in. You're listening to Comfort Time Live. I'm Tom Platania, and we will be right back.
Electric.
We can do it.
Elite Electric.
There's nothing to it.
Elite Electric.
Ooh, amazing.
Elite Electric.
Boogie, woogie, woogie, woogie.
Elite Electric specializes in all of your electrical needs, from security lighting to surge protection and everything in between. How do you think they got their name? Elite Electric. Elite Electric has been family-owned and operated on the Treasure Coast since 1988, and they're recommended by Comfort Time Live. Visit online at eliteelectricandair.com and learn more about their services. Elite Electric. Service today. Proud sponsor of Comfort Time Live every Thursday evening at 6:05 on WPSL 1590.
No matter what you want, just pick up your phone, say, come on, Elite.
And we'll get the job done.
We can do it.
Elite Electric.
There's nothing to it.
Elite Electric.
The average person moves 5 times in their lifetime. If it's moving time for you, Tom Platini is ready to sell your home quickly and professionally. Tom's unique promotional plan includes real estate magazines, online listing sites, print advertising in your local paper, and exposure to thousands of people on his popular home improvement talk radio show, Comfort Time Live. Call 882-5700 to get your house on the market and featured on Tom's websites. Details about your home will reach thousands of interested buyers, but don't delay. Call Tom Platania today. 772-882-5700.
And now back to Comfort Time Live. Once again, here's your host, Tom Platania.
All right, welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Remember, 772-340-1590, the number to call here at the studio. We have Mary Beth Zipser with us this evening from Atlantic Insurance Advisors, and she is advising us on, well, your insurance issues this evening. And, you need to call in and ask questions, because I guarantee you that everybody sitting out there listening has a question that's popping into their head. Like, hey, I'm on the 4th floor of a condo, because we, of course, have no condos in South Florida. And why do I need flood insurance?
Yeah, that's right. It's only going to be the 1st or 2nd floor. It's going to get flooded out anyway.
Exactly.
Right? Who needs it on the 3rd, 4th, 5th floor? Right?
While we're bringing up that question, Mary Beth, what is the reason?
That's a great question, and I have to laugh because I get asked that a lot, especially when realtors are calling me or loan officers are saying, I don't understand why it's required. There was a high-rise down in Palm Beach about 7-8 years ago, and I cannot remember the specific name. Everyone in the place obviously had their own unit, but it was covered, all the structure was covered on a master condominium policy. They had a master flood policy, I should say. It did flood. It flooded the first floor. The first floor was under a couple of feet of water.
Wow.
And the entire foundation was completely compromised. It was unsafe to even enter any floor of the building. The whole thing had to be taken down. They decided, engineers, they wanted to level the whole thing and rebuild. So the master flood policy took care of it. They rebuilt. It took almost a year, if not more than that. They rebuilt the entire unit. Now, the man on the 4th floor that did not carry his own flood insurance policy, when he was handed his keys, he turned the door, he walked in, he had a shell. There was no flooring, no kitchen cabinets, no countertops, no toilets, no fixtures. The interior part of the dwelling is the responsibility of the owner, and they don't realize that. The structure is covered, but it's the exterior structure. Anything from paint and wallpaper inwards,
oh my,
your responsibility. Mm-hmm. So a lot of people had to come out of pocket to basically finish their units.
Wow. And that was an eye-opener, I bet.
Oh, yeah. That was a buzz in the industry for a while.
Oh, I can imagine. And see, but that would make the difference. Obviously, he had some kind of an insurance policy for something, whether it was automobile insurance or whatever the case was. And there was probably somebody there that could have, whoever he was dealing with, they could have mentioned something to him if they were like you, to where they're looking at all the aspects of their client and giving them recommendations. It's not pitching them stuff that they want or need. It's making recommendations based on what they're at, so that they don't run into those problems after the fact.
Right.
And probably the cost of that was probably very minimal too.
Yes. They're very inexpensive, those condo flood policies, because you're not asking for that much coverage. You're only looking for maybe $50,000 as opposed to a house covered for $150,000 or more. Yeah. And a lot of variation. It goes into the elevation of the where it sits and everything. But relatively speaking, they're inexpensive, and it would have been a lot less expensive for him to carry a condominium flood policy on his own versus what he had to do to finish the inside of that. It was
All right.
a lot of money.
Now, I know some of the big questions that have come up from either emails or other shows, and a couple of those. One of the biggest things has to do with the flood insurance versus the water damage insurance, and whether I agree or disagree with this. What is the difference?
Well, there is no homeowners insurance policy in Florida that covers flood. It's always separate. It's always FEMA. It's federally run. But the biggest question I always get is, wait a minute, if my policy doesn't cover flood, my homeowner's policy doesn't cover flood, what if my hot water heater were to burst and flood my entire laundry room? What if my toilet overflows and floods my master bath and my master bedroom? Those are considered water claims, not flood. Yes, your house flooded, but a true flood is a sudden inundation of rain or water that floods. Has to be 2 or more properties or 2 or more acres. In other
Basically,
words,
exterior.
well, if you're staying in your living room up to your ankles in water, and so are a neighbor on either side, that area flooded, that entire subdivision per se, or that street flooded. Your pipe burst in a wall and caused water damage, or water was all over your living room floor. That's a water claim, not a flood.
So somebody else's property has to also have damage in order for you.
Yeah, well, it's physically impossible for just my house to flood. No one on either side of me flood, because it's a
That
rising
wouldn't
water.
constitute a flood.
Right. Say it again.
That wouldn't constitute a flood unless everything around you is flooded as well.
That's our Wizard of Oz. That's
I love that.
That's the man behind the scene.
The rising waters, yes, rising waters
Right.
constitutes a flood, not if a toilet were to burst. Those are water claims. Hot water pipes or hot water heaters break. Those are all considered water claims, and those are covered under your homeowner's insurance.
So I mean, so basically, it's just inside versus outside almost. I mean, for flood, but obviously would flood everything on the outside. I mean, that's what my thought would be, is if it's water damage outside the house, it would be classified under flood, right?
Right, you would see it. And the funny thing is they've been doing a lot of remapping. There is an area up in Port St. Lucie, I can't remember the street, but years ago, we had one of our rain, where it rained just for 4 days straight, it seemed, just non-stop rain.
Right.
Now, that street was considered a non- or preferred flood zone.
East
No
of
one
US
there was
1.
required, and no one else carried flood. And people were, paddling boats up and down their street. I mean, the entire street, every house, when they walked in, was up to their ankles in water. And that was considered a non- or a preferred flood zone. So we're in Florida.
Just have flood insurance. It's not that expensive, is it?
It is not. It is not. And I always joke around. People say, well, am I in a flood zone? And I still do flood zone determinations. I'll still check on all that. But at the end of the day, we live in Florida. Florida's a big marshland. We stick out in the middle of a lot of water. We're surrounded by water. It rains here all the time. I feel we're all...
Well, are they
Not
classifying flood zone based on the elevation only?
That's a large part of it. Elevation, location, how many times has it flooded in the last 100 years. They're remapping a lot of areas, too.
Okay, because I mean, with all the a lot of the floods in Port St. Lucie, a lot of them have to do with the drainage not being able to handle it.
Correct. Yep. If the ground cannot take it, and they're in it, I agree.
Yeah.
You're right.
I mean, because I lived in the Enclave, right off of Kashmir, and that wasn't classified as a flood zone. And when we had those rains a couple years ago, there was almost 3 foot of water on the street in areas. And the water actually came all the way up the street, up the driveway, and there was a foot of water in the garage where I lived. I had all kinds of damage, and my fault. I didn't have renter's insurance because I was leasing the house. Shame on me.
Oh, my gosh.
Well, of course, renter's insurance wouldn't have covered flood, though. Right? Unless I had bought a flood policy for it.
You would have had to you would have had to have had a flood policy.
And see, I wouldn't have known that anyway, so I probably would have I'd be right back in the same situation I am.
Yes. And actually probably the owner should have had a flood policy too. But those kind of rains are not uncommon. We have these, especially in the summer here, it just rains and rains and rains, and we don't have the ground that absorbs it. We're sand. So I joke around the whole state of Florida is a flood zone far as I'm concerned, but
Yeah.
not as far as the federal government yet.
Yeah, and it just makes sense. I mean, it's for the cost I mean, probably. I know it depends on the place that you're at. $300-$500 a year, maybe, or is it vary greatly?
It varies.
Okay.
And if you're in a flood zone,
Right.
I will never ballpark a flood unless I see an elevation certificate, because basically that piece of paper is going to tell me where the house sits
Okay,
in
I see.
relation to.
So
where
it does vary based on location.
I've seen them as $129. I've seen them $3,000.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. That's for the house that's out in the middle of the river on stilts?
Actually, on stilts would be better.
Or half a mile downhill from Hoover Dam, right?
Exactly.
Now, one of the other, and we've actually had many people call into the show. And remember, ladies and gentlemen, you are listening to Comfort Time Live, and we have Mary Beth Zipser on with us from Atlantic Insurance Advisors. And she's helping to answer questions about your homeowner's insurance and different things. So you need to call in and ask Mary Beth the questions. 772-340-1590.
It's a good opportunity to ask a question. You know, sometimes when you call somebody to ask a question, you have to go through a salesman that's going to give you a sales pitch about something. Here's a way that you're free of that. You can call and actually ask a question.
And
right?
I promise she will give you no sales pitches at all.
No,
And
no sales
I don't even think Mary Beth gives you sales pitches when you go into her office.
No.
You ask the questions, she gives you honest answers, and you make the decision from there. Not everybody is a used. I don't want to say used car salesman, but of course they've gathered that
That's become high tech too.
that reputation. But all right, so you know we look at the cost of insurance when we get coverage for a house, and you know we have people ask, well, why isn't the amount valued on my insurance policy what my house is worth? My house is worth more than that. Why is it? Why? What's the difference with that?
Well, what I usually hear, because we do so many new home purchases, I get asked that question a lot. Buyers and loan officers ask me, and they always say, wait a minute, it only appraised at $130, why are you insuring it for $150? Or they're only paying $110, so why can't we just insure it for that? They don't understand that built into every single carrier's software, quoting software, is what's called a replacement cost estimator or a replacement cost guide.
Right.
And it's very detailed, and I have to enter what is the square footage and how many stories and what's its construction. I have to count the corners. There's a ton of property details, bathrooms. And when you're done, you hit calculate. And when the carrier pops up a number and says, we will insure this house for $202,000, because they feel that's a fair replacement
Right.
cost. They don't care if you're paying $100 or paying $500. If they feel it's only going to cost $202,000, for example, to replace it, they'll allow me to insure it for $202,000. Well, lately, with properties going at such rock bottom prices, when the market dropped, I got that a lot. I only paid $50K for it. I'm not going to insure it for $110,000.
Right.
The problem is I see where they're coming, but sales price, market value, none of that matters. It's replacement.
Right,
You
because
know that if that house he paid for $50,000, if it were burned to the ground, he would sure want the $200,000.
Oh,
put it back
absolutely,
the way it was.
absolutely. Because there's no way he could rebuild that house for $50,000.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, because the market dictates what the house will sell for, but the market doesn't dictate what the to rebuild that house. The cost of materials and stuff does.
Right.
But the cost of materials just has to do with how much I'm paying for the lumber and the drywall and the things of that nature. But like when we had the market that went through the roof, what was that, 2005, 6?
Yep.
Well, I mean, houses were probably double the price of what some insurance companies were able to give for it because the replacement cost was not that high. It doesn't cost me $300,000 to rebuild your house. It only costs $200,000.
Yep. And those carriers look at those very closely. It's not something I can just skip and I can leave off a couple porches and I can leave off this.
Oh, no.
They will, if I insure a house for $150 and during underwriting they feel it's a little light, they'll come back and say, it's a little light, we're going to increase that. And guess what? The insured gets a bill. They're not happy when they get a bill.
Now, let me ask you, what is, and if I'm asking the question incorrectly, or What is the liability? I don't know if you'd say to the insurance company or to the homeowner, if they go to an insurance company, they give them the replacement cost, and let's say within just a matter of a couple weeks, so that we don't have a huge time frame, house burns to the ground, and the homeowner goes to find contractors to rebuild it, and they cannot find one contractor who can rebuild it for the dollar amount that the insurance company offered them. What happens in a case like that? Have you ever come across that? Let me ask.
I have not,
Okay.
and I will. Well, there's a few thoughts that popped into my head. I have not, but in those replacement cost estimators, when it's done, it actually gives you a dollar amount. And I've seen, like for example, it'll say $157 per square foot was used in this calculation versus $210 a square foot in this calculation, and all of that still goes off whether I called it a standard, a custom, a semi-custom, and also location.
Okay.
Now, if it costs more to rebuild the home because there's an area that has to be brought up to code or has to meet a new building code ordinance, for example, you have a 1987 house, I'm just going to make this up for the conversation.
Yeah.
And the trusses were 10 feet apart back then, and now code requires them to be 2 feet apart.
Right.
Well, it's going to cost a lot more. The builder said it's going to be an additional $15,000 because I'm not going to rebuild it back to the way it was in '87. I have to rebuild it to 2014 codes.
Right.
Built into all policies, homeowners policies in the state of Florida is something called Ordinance of Law coverage.
Okay.
Policies will automatically include an additional 10% or 25%, depending on which company,
Okay.
up and above. Say your house is insured for 200,
Okay.
you have an extra 10 or 20 to come up to code to build it to where it has to be to meet today's.
Okay, yeah, and I very much doubt that there would be that big of a difference, but that's good. That's exactly what I was looking for. Is that there has to be something, and that's good for people to know that, because I didn't know that, and then we've been asked that question a lot, but we've never gotten an answer like that. So you're awesome. You know that?
Well, thank you. The hottest topics are hurricane shutters and wind mitigation. People discuss this with me all the time, the age of their roof, and I have shutters. Why didn't I get a discount for it? That's probably the question lately
That you've been asked most, especially
about-
coming, we got a tropical storm out there already or something?
Oh, yeah. Once there's anything near the coast, that's when all my companies shut down. It's kind of interesting.
So why wouldn't they get a shutter credit?
Because they're not. Everyone still refers to it as, oh, it's a shutter credit. I've got shutters. They changed it. The form has gone from being a shutter credit to an opening protection credit.
An opening.
And the credit that is applied, how much, in other words, how much of a discount you're going to get, is going to be based on every single opening. They're going to rate your credit based on the weakest opening. So if you have the best top-of-the-line shutters on every single window, they're Miami-Dade approved, they've got the stickers, they're great, but your garage doors, not braced, they remove all of the shutter credit. If
No
skylight,
way.
you get nothing because
Oh my
there's
gosh.
one compromised opening. So they changed it from shutter credit to opening protection.
Does that
Of course,
include openings in the roof?
skylights uncovered, or if the skylight glass has a sticker on it showing that it's an impact resistant that meets the code, then you're great. It's considered that opening, that hole in the ceiling that has a skylight.
Oh, no
It's
way.
considered covered. But if you have an old skylight that has no sticker on it, no proof, they don't know its integrity, they're going to say, sorry, you don't get that credit.
Do they make shutters for skylights?
I had someone who had one.
No
But
way.
yes.
Oh, I didn't know they made them. Wow.
His choice was, I do not know. It was a flat one, and I do not know how they did it, but he called somebody and had them come out and put some kind of covering on it that when the inspector came out, he said, good to go.
That is important, ladies and gentlemen. So let's repeat that again about the shutter credit. Repeat that one more time, Mary Beth. So people, now listen, ladies and gentlemen, because this is something that I didn't even know about, and I deal with the construction, and this is huge, and you could lose everything because a lot of these homes have those little dome windows
Yeah.
above the door, the main door openings. And some of them, and I know the house that I had did not have a shutter for that opening above.
And some houses you see, usually it's in the master bath on the corner where, excuse me, the exterior wall is actually stacked glass block. It's not really an opening. It doesn't open and close. It's not a window. It's just a decorative
Right.
glass block wall. If that glass block has no way to be protected, that's considered an opening when they cut
Wow.
through. So I have had that where people have to have shutters put over those glass block wall sections. The carriers are no longer, or I should say the wind mitigation form that is standardized no longer truly looks at just shutter credits. It's really an opening protection, all openings.
All openings.
It could be a transom window over a front door, a little round decorative window, or they need to be impact glass, or impact rated.
So
And there's a little sticker on them, and you'll see that.
and the door, obviously doors too, like a garage door, not the main garage door, but a side garage door.
Yes, if there's a side door and if it opens in instead of out and it's not rated, doesn't have the right impact sticker on it. See, I've had someone who had to actually take that door off, the little side door that you can walk from your garage out to your side yard. I've had people have to change that and put back in a rated door to get all of their shutter credits. Yeah.
Wow, that is huge. That and if you've missed any part of this, ladies and gentlemen, you need to go back. Go to Comfort Time Live and go back through this and play it for your friends, your family, your relatives. I'm going to post this on Facebook, Comfort Time Live. I'm going to post it on Twitter. It's going to be on YouTube. So you need to listen to that because I guarantee you about 90% of the people listening to this show, all four of them, didn't catch that. So. So we're going to go ahead and take our next quick break, Mary Beth. And ladies and gentlemen, you're listening to Comfort Time Live with Mary Beth Zipser, from Atlantic Insurance Advisor. Give us a call here at the studio, 772-340-1590 if you have questions for Mary Beth.
Did the housing market catch you off guard? Did your home lose value for no apparent reason? Don't let that happen again. Call
1
Tom
minute.
Platini with Keller Williams Realty now, 882-5700, where the first 25 people will get a free home value package worth $400 to keep you ahead of the market. The market's on the rise, but can change at any minute. Did you try and sell your home and just couldn't get the value you deserved? Give Tom Platini a call, 882-5700, where the first 25 people get a free home value package worth $400 and see how you can get back into the market and get the value you deserve. That's 882-5700 for your free home value package.
Known for helping you keep that spark, now they'll help you keep cool. Elite Electric and Air, the official air conditioning sponsor of Comfort Time Live, has provided the best in heating and cooling customer service since 1988. If your electric bill is costing you more than 12 cents per square foot under air, you may be overpaying the utility company. Elite Electric and Air can help put that cash back in your pocket. Call Elite Electric and Air with 24-hour service. Dial 340-3797. That's 340-3797.
And now, back to Comfort Time Live with Tom Platania.
All right, welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Listening to Comfort Time Live, 340-1590 if you'd like to call and speak to Mary Beth with Atlantic Insurance Advisors. She's helping to answer some of the questions that we know you folks have and even some of the questions you don't, like knowing that it's not just a shutter credit anymore. Any opening in your house has to be covered, otherwise you lose the entire credit.
It has to be covered, or it has to be rated like an impact glass.
Like an impact glass. Okay, that does difference. I know because a lot of the homes that I'm doing load and energy calcs on for new contractors, new homes and buildings, a lot of them are using the impact glass now. So with an impact glass, it does not have to have a shutter.
Correct.
Okay, all right. So that's good. So for the newer homes, that's good. But some of these older homes, that's not good because they were probably used to only having shutters covering certain areas, and some of the smaller parts weren't. So that's important. Now, one of the things is with a lot of construction that I do, I always notice that there's a difference between concrete block homes and frame homes. And is there a difference in cost between a concrete block home when it comes to insurance versus a frame home?
That's another very, very common question, and my general answer to that is just no. I tell people no.
Okay.
Believe it or not, and I'll tell you why. Many factors go into the rate of an insurance premium. Age of home, location, the coverage limits. For example, in 1956, concrete block home that's located within like a couple of miles of the beach and it's only covered for $150, that can cost more than a 2004 frame in, say, Palm City. So if you say to me, isn't concrete block less expensive? Not necessarily. If it's an older one and it's in a location that has higher rates, then the answer would be no. If it's a newer concrete block, then the answer would be yes. The newer 2002 and newer, typically that's the cutoff you think in your head, 2002 and newer concrete block, they usually pay the lower rates. Also, I noticed lately a lot of people will buy a two-story home, and it says concrete block, the house is concrete block, they move in. The problem is sometimes the ground floor is concrete block, but the second story is frame with stuck on it.
A lot of times.
Yes.
A lot of times it's like
you don't get a concrete block rating.
No.
You get a frame.
Oh, you do?
rating.
Okay.
Yeah.
So even though
unless I can prove that the house is 2/3 or more concrete block, and in general down here they're usually about 50-50. Unless I can prove that, they're going to get rated as a frame. Even though it's a 2004 half and half, they still pay really great rates because of it's a young house.
Right. And it's got all the credits. But, I mean, like a bonus room or something over a garage that's framed, they're still going to get the concrete block because it's just a small bonus room.
Yes.
Okay, that makes a lot of sense. But two houses side by side, built identical in the same location, one's block, one's block, one's frame, the block would be a little less expensive.
Correct.
And that's obviously because it should, if it's built properly, hold up a little bit better than the frame house.
Yes.
But as a reference point, and it's weird, the concrete block will typically hold up better, but a frame house is actually a better insulator and actually requires less air conditioning. So,
oh, wow.
Yeah, it's
See, I learned something.
Yeah, I do a lot of homes for a lot of different new builders, Arthur Ruttenberg and a bunch of other showcase designer homes and Brown Dog Construction, and I noticed that then they'll give me like an upper floor or a bottom floor, one house that's block, one house that's concrete, and they might be almost identical, and the frame house will be maybe a half a ton of air conditioning less because of the wall. Because typically on block houses, you only have about a 4.2, 4.3 insulation value, plus the little bit of the block, unless of course it's filled. But the frame house, usually you're anywhere from R11 to like an R19, which is much better insulator.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, so it makes a huge difference.
Very interesting.
See, learn something new. I'm learning a bunch of stuff from you, so I had to throw something out and at least get you some value, out of it. So okay, what if mortgage is already paid? If a mortgage is already paid, my renewal for the year, can I switch midterm?
Absolutely. People worry about that. Oh, my mortgage just paid it. If your mortgage just cut a $2,500 check out of your escrow, and I can get you a better deal at $1,200, they have to. The other carrier, the first carrier that's charging the $2,500, once they get a cancellation, you'll get a prorated refund back to the day, and you can deposit it right back into your escrow account. They will pay the new. So it just you're bouncing from one company to another, and then the savings are yours. Once they do the escrow analysis, it all comes out in the wash. You usually get a nice check back. I tell people go out to dinner. You can buy me chocolate-covered caramels if you want, but
on Valentine's Day.
Yes, hint, hint. But yes, midterm. People think, I don't renew till next February. I'll just call you then. I'm like, well, why would you not want to start saving money sooner?
Who polices that for the homeowner?
Who should. I think the homeowner, no one's going to stop and look at their policy every year. They just let it roll. They let it renew.
I mean, police it as far as I'm a homeowner. I decide to switch midterm. I go to you or someone else. Who polices that the other insurance company who they had is supposed to refund that money back to them? Who?
Oh, that's state regulated. They have to. Once the carrier receives it's a very specific form. They have only so many days. They cannot hold on to. It's called unearned.
So
premium.
It's a big.
And I
deal.
help facilitate that. Will
Good for
contact.
you.
I will make sure I let your mortgage. Your mortgage wants to know. Hey, who's the new carrier? What's the new policy number? What's the new rate?
Okay.
And a lot of times the new rate lowers your mortgage payment. People don't think it's a great way to lower your mortgage payment because that's part of your mortgage payment every month.
Okay, and here's a question. It's kind of a little different topic because we deal a lot with educating homeowners on businesses and contractors and things in their house. And if you got to take a second to think about this one, that's okay. I bring a contractor into my home. Okay, contractor's a licensed contractor, has his insurance. He slips and falls, hurts himself in the house. That does a homeowner's policy cover anything for that?
Well, on the homeowner's policy, you have a personal liability. If one of them were to say it was your fault, you had a slip tile here that was loose, and yes, it would be your personal liability on your policy, which is usually $300,000.
Okay. All right. Now, to add to that question, and once again, I'm throwing this on you because I know it wasn't on our list of questions, but it's popping into my head, and if you don't know right now, I'm okay with that. That contractor hires somebody for the day, a subcontractor who is not insured. That person falls through the ceiling, who's not insured, not licensed, falls through the floor, hurts himself. Does the homeowner's policy still cover that individual?
Well, I don't do a ton of commercial, but it's my understanding that subs are listed and subs that are hired are usually covered. I thought that the contractor would have a policy.
A lot of them do not. Ooh. Because if they're a lot of these guys, first off, the contractor themselves doesn't necessarily have the right coverage to begin with, or he's unlicensed. And if he's unlicensed, he can't get insurance. So he hires a subcontractor.
Oh, I see what you're saying.
So the subcontractor.
I've never been asked that one. I'd have to look into that.
Yeah, looking at that I'd love to get an answer on that one, and we'll bring it back up during the show because we.
Where does the burden lie if I hired someone unlicensed or uninsured, and they do? Oh, wow, it's very. I'll have to look that.
Yeah, we were told. Now this is hearsay from the homeowner. We were told that the homeowner's insurance policy would not pay because the contractors were unlicensed. And once again, this is hearsay from the listener, that the insurance company would not pay because they were unlicensed, and they didn't have, the contractor didn't have their own insurance, and because the homeowner hired somebody unlicensed, that the insurance company wouldn't pay, and it had to come out of the homeowner. So we actually had the listener call in here into the studio.
Well, I would not be surprised. I would probably look at the homeowners. There's probably a list of exclusions or not covered, and it probably says unlicensed workers. I would not be surprised if that's in the fine print of the 80-page policy jacket that gets mailed to your house. That would not surprise me. Yeah,
I would love if you could research it for us, because I'd love to talk about that and actually hear it from a true professional. Because that we talk a lot about that stuff, and unlicensed contractors and unethical businesses. Not just contractors, but insurance companies and realtors and attorneys and tax accountants and we had one lady call here and we had the huge federal tax credit, and she said, "Well, my CPA said that doesn't exist." What?
Wow, I know.
I'm like, ma'am. First thing you need to do is go shake your accountant's hand and tell him to bugger off, and then go find yourself a new accountant, because it's the biggest thing going on right now. $1,500 tax credit. If he doesn't know about it, but it's horrible.
It's amazing. It's amazing.
Now, okay, so nowadays a lot of people, with the market coming back up, we got just a few minutes left, but the market coming back up, some people are selling or renting their houses out. They got a house, maybe they're upgrading, they're taking the house that they had, which was just a little 2-bedroom, they upgrade to this beautiful house, and they want to rent it out. Are they still covered?
No.
No?
Occupancy is big. If there's a change in the occupancy of the home, then you have to change your policy. A lot of people don't know that.
Oh, they have to change it, but they can still get coverage. They just need to... Okay.
Their standard homeowners insurance will not cover them. If they have a lease that starts March 1st, and so effectively March 1st, it's going to go from being a primary owner-occupied home, and it's going to become a rental property with a tenant occupying it. As of March 1st, you cancel your homeowners March 1st, you bind a new policy March 1st to go into effect, covering you as a landlord. It's called a DP policy. And that way, if anything happens, you're covered. I've seen people just let it roll. I
And most
just left
people
my
probably
homeowner.
don't know that. I didn't know that.
Yeah, I've seen that. And what happens is that people call me and they say, "Oh, well, all right, I'll switch it now. It's been 4 or 5 months. I guess it's time. The tenant's been in there 4 or 5 months." If it changed occupancy 4 or 5 months, then they do have the right to do it. The no prior surcharge. They could get a surcharge for not having it insured properly for that couple of months that they've had them in there. You're only allowed so long to go with it. Or if there were a claim during that period of time, the tenant was in there 2 months, there's a claim, the company comes on and goes, "Whoa, you didn't disclose that you now have the tenant occupied." They could not pay, or they could have a challenge on that.
How long would it be before rightfully an insurance company could say, "I'm sorry, we can't change the policy at all"?
Oh, they'll change it. You just end up with a surcharge.
Oh, okay. So it
Yeah,
could be
they'll
like
change.
a year. If somebody's listening to the show right now and goes, "Dope, I didn't
Yeah.
realize I needed to have that done," and goes that way. So okay, all
Because
right.
what they ask for proof is they're going to look at the lease.
Yeah, okay. All right. Well, Mary Beth, we have come to the end of this show this evening, and I want to tell you it's been a blessing having you on. I really
Well,
appreciate
thank
it.
you.
Besides being a beautiful young lady, you're extremely intelligent. Your husband's a very lucky man, and he should be taking very good care of you tomorrow.
Oh, yeah.
On Valentine's Day. And if
I'm
he does it,
expecting it.
make sure he listens to the end of the show, and he knows that.
Hint, hint.
Yes.
Wonderful.
All
You
right,
have
Mary
a
Beth.
wonderful night.
You too, young lady, and have a good Valentine's Day.
Thank you. You too.
All right, wonderful. All right, ladies and gentlemen, hey, you know what we're going to start doing? We're going to start ending the show with a quote.
A quote.
A quote every show. And the quote's going to be from somebody I look dearly to, is Zig Ziglar. Okay, very inspirational young man. And the quote for today on Comfort Time Live:
Oh.
"If you go out looking for friends, you will find they are very scarce. If you go out to be a friend, you will find them everywhere." So I want to wish
And with that,
all of the ladies out there a happy Valentine's Day. Valentine's Day to Michelle. If you're listening, happy Valentine's Day to tomorrow, young lady. And have a great weekend, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for watching and listening to Comfort Time Live. I'm Tom Platania, and we'll be back next week.
I got a Valentine's card. It has a picture of a pig standing there holding a pie, and then you look at open it up, and there's a bunch of pigs standing there holding a bunch of pies, and it's labeled Hogs and Quiches.
Oh!
Happy Valentine's Day!
Have a great one.
You're listening to Comfort Time Live, Thursday evening simulcast on both WPSL Port St. Lucie and WSTU Stewart, the talk of the Treasure Coast, and Martin County's Heritage Station.